How's it going, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, Respawn Grant, and as always, my co-host, Real Batman. How you doing today, buddy?
I'm doing good. How about you?
Doing good, doing good. Everyone's staying safe and healthy, hopefully.
Hopefully.
Yep.
Oh,
Stay safe out there in YouTube world. This is Collector's Thoughts. As you guys know, we talk about things, anything from video games, movies, action figure statues, and just general. What? Did you say Funko?
porno.
We haven't done an episode on porno yet, but maybe one day.
Never rule it out.
Never rule it out. That'd be an interesting episode, that's for sure. But yeah, so today's episode we wanted to talk about kind of like companies and when they false advertise, or at what level is it officially false advertising. Now, before we get too far into this, I got the idea for this topic because of the Cyberpunk 77 issues that's been going on. For those of you that don't know, it's a very big video game that just recently came out, and there's been a lot of issues with that game, plus other games kind of followed, kind of started doing the same type of trend where they're releasing the game ahead of schedule. It's not even fully done yet. And then there's a lot of promising of being fixed with patches and stuff like that coming up. And they just pretty much ask people to be patient, which, in my opinion, is almost bringing it to that line of it's almost false advertisement. The product's not even done, and you're charging people full price. So to kind of give you guys like a general idea of what we're talking about for this type of topic, we kind of want to know at what point do you forgive a company or forgive a product for this like false advertisement. Let's just start it off kind of easy. I want to ask you personally. Let's say let's just make it a very simple first example. Let's say you walk into a bakery, right? They're selling a lemon flavored pie. Now, in your mind, you know it's going to be lemon, but let's say when you start eating it, it's not as much lemon as you would like. Do you hold the bakery accountable for that? Are you mad at the bakery, or do you just say, it is lemon?
Well, I wouldn't call that false advertisement. I'd just say the baker maybe had too much to drink the night before, or wasn't really on his A game and just didn't add enough ingredients. So, I mean, yeah, I'd be pissed, but I wouldn't call it false advertisement.
Right. So in that situation, you'd kind of look at it and be like, well, it wasn't false advertisement. It is lemon, just not as much lemon flavor as I would like. Right?
Yep.
Okay. Now, to go to the next situation, let's say you go to the movies. Okay. A lot of people, this happens all the time. People go to the movies. They're expecting to watch a certain movie. You're done watching the movie and you're not really thrilled with how the movie came out. Would you consider that false advertisement?
No.
No, right. Because you tell me, go ahead, why?
It's just a shitty movie.
Right, you're right.
It's a shitty movie. Bad writing. It's a shitty movie.
Right. I mean, if they tell you that this movie is about a certain guy or a character, and it is, it might have sucked, but they didn't false advertise. Now we jump ahead a little bit more. Now this is going to be more of what our channels are more about. Another thing that popped into my mind about this topic was with McFarlane, believe it or not, and how he did the spawns with the same body but a different weapon and called it a variant. He's kind of doing something very similar with the Robin. Have you heard about this? The I forgot what they call the Joker Robins, where they're like laughing and stuff.
Yeah, they just have different facial expressions. It's the same exact figure with different facial expressions. Yeah.
Yeah. Now my thing with that is this kind of started before the Cyberpunk thing. I wanted to talk to you about this topic. Is when you look at that, would that be? I wouldn't call that false advertising, but would that be kind of almost like playing games with the consumer, where it's like, why couldn't you just put the 3 head sculpts with the body, or if you're gonna do 3 different head sculpts with 3 different packages, why not change the body for each one? How do you feel about that?
I agree.
You agree?
I agree. For those of you who called me a fanboy, I'm not. I agree. I thought that was It's not false advertisement. He's taking advantage of the collectors and the consumer, really, because he knows that they're going to buy it. The problem I have is getting a hold of them with all the scalping issues and all that stuff. So on McFarland's part, he used to be a master of variants, you know that.
Yeah.
And I think that he's kind of been poisoned by today's culture and today's world. And the company that comes to mind is Mafex. They'll release promo images of a figure and showing all these dynamic poses, and then you get the figure in your hand and you lift the arm up and it pops off and you have to pop it back in. Then they'll release a 2.0 and sometimes even a 3.0, and yet you're still paying $95 a pop and they're not giving you a discount even though you bought the first two versions. So I think he's kind of following that pattern, unfortunately. But yeah, I think he could have either done, if you're going to do the figures, like the heads separate, I think you could have changed up the figure a little bit. And if you're not going to change the figure, you should have probably done either all the head sculpts in one package. But I can also understand, here's the counter argument, which is there are going to be people out there that are going to want at least two.
Right.
You could, but it still would have been easier. Now you can counter that argument and say, okay, I just would have bought two and just had a different head sculpt on each one. So either way, that would have been easier. So yeah, he's definitely taking advantage, knowing that people are going to buy it anyway, just like he did with the Spawns. It's the same exact figure, just a different weapon. He finally released the true variant, which is that new Spawn that just came out from the Mortal Kombat game. It's the same mold, but it is painted different. So that's a true variant.
Yeah, and for those of you that don't know which one he's talking about, check out his video on his channel because he actually did a haul video showcasing that Spawn figure. And I agree that that is a variant. Like the thing is with the Spawn, okay, it's three separate weapons. You have a sword, an axe, and a mace?
Yes.
Okay. It's three different weapons, same figure in each weapon, and you're paying $20 a pop. Now, for somebody like myself, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to buy one and just be content with it. But for somebody who's a completionist, they're going to buy all three. That now one figure turns into $60 to get the three different weapons. And I kind of, with that one, it didn't bother me as much as the Robins, because the Robin, I personally would like to get all three different heads, but now I'm looking at, if it's $20 a piece, $60 again for the exact same body, but just a different head. And first of all, you can't find these anywhere. Let's be honest there. And then second of all, even if you do find them, okay, most people would want to buy more than one anyway. Yes, but what if you didn't? What if you just wanted the one thing? I would almost rather it be the one Robin with the three heads for $30 as opposed to the one Robin with the one head for $20. I'll pay the extra $10 to get the two different heads. And then, like you said, if I wanted to, I can then buy 2 or 3 Robins and put each head on it. You know what I mean? That would be my choice. But the way he set it up, he kind of is almost like taking advantage of the completionist, where now you're going to drop $60 to get the exact same figure just with a different head. And I don't know, man. I don't really like that. It's not false advertisement, but it's almost like abusing a little bit. Like you're kind of pushing your luck with your fan base. That right there falls into my opinion, the same category as what EA does with video games with their sports titles, where a lot of times it's the same exact thing year after year after year with very minimum update to their games, their sports games, and they still just rely on their hardcore fans to just buy the same game over and over and over again, just with an updated roster. It's in that same category. And I'm glad you actually brought up another topic that I wanted to talk about a little bit, was the Mafex thing, where these companies will also do different versions of the exact same figure. Like you said, 2.0, 3.0. And it's kind of like one of those things where it's like, hey, thanks for buying our first original one, which gave us money to even give us a chance to produce a second one, but we're not going to help you guys out by giving you some kind of like coupon or discount on the second version so that way you guys are happy and satisfied and buy that second version from us. You know what I mean? It's kind of like you bought the first version, it kind of sucks. Hey, sorry, but thanks to your money, we're able to make a second better version. You know, I don't know. I don't feel like that's fully right.
Absolutely agree. And here's the thing: if you're going to release a figure, and this is talking about Mafex and McFarlane or whatever, but Mafex is, they're generally known more for the QC issues. Every company once in a while has a hiccup where they puke all over themselves and the figure has problems. But Mafex, for their price point, they kind of rival SHF, and we've talked about that on this channel before and on my channel as well. SHF is definitely a more durable figure with less QC issues. But for those people on this platform that are huge fans of Mafex, stop saying that these figures don't fall apart. Have they gotten a little bit better? Yes, they have. Do they still have QC issues? Yes, they do. Is it as much? No, it's not. But the fact that you release a Wolverine that if you bend the elbow like this all the way, the bicep, it pops off at the bicep swivel. And it pops back in. But I'm sorry, at $95 a pop, don't release that figure. Push the release date back and fix that problem. There should be no 2.0. And if there is a 2.0, it should be a variant. It's painted different. You can make all different types of Wolverines. He has all different types of costumes. You can make a battle damaged one. But, I know for the Dark Knight trilogy, they did like 3 versions. And all of them had different QC issues. They were a little bit better. Like the first one, the arms popped off very easily. You can't even go 40 degrees. The arm just pops right off. It falls off. So the second one, it was better on that, but it was worse in other areas. The third one, they fixed most of everything, but there's still other problems. So, yes, it is an abuse. The fact that they're not giving people some kind of rebate or discount because you bought the first or the second version, it's the fact, what's worse is the fact that it still has QC problems. It still has QC issues. To me, that's kind of not it. It is false advertisement because you're telling us that these figures can do all these poses, but they really can't because the freaking limbs fall off. So that would be considered rip-off, kind of false advertisement. And the fact that you're releasing 2 other or 3 other versions after that, and they still have QC issues just in other areas, doesn't mean that you fixed the problem.
Right. And that's the thing. Like what you had touched on a very, very important point that I was about to make, which is push back the release. And that's where I was going to go with the video game stuff. The video game stuff, it is embarrassing now how these companies are, not all of them, I'm not saying it's all of them, but you can see a trend where, like, I remember back in the day, original Xbox and even older, when a game came out, if it was broken, it sucked, it got horrible reviews, and no one bought it because people knew. The game was not finished, it was garbage, and people did not buy it, and they moved on. Nowadays, thanks to the internet, it's a double-edged sword. It's great that they can fix a lot of these problems with games that come out and maybe have bug issues or glitches and stuff like that. They're able to fix it. The problem is that now companies are almost abusing it. They're releasing the game first. They know they has these issues. They know it has these problems, and they're still releasing it. And then when enough people complain, they go, "Oh wait, we're gonna send patches and fix it." Well, then why didn't you just fix it to begin with, so the game was already good and ready to go for launch day, so that way these people that are excited to play these games aren't stuck. Because some of these glitches, some of them are small, okay? Some of them are things like items disappearing or characters like phasing and stuff, whatever. Some of these are big though. There was a couple games. There was Cyberpunk 77 had that issue, and oh wow, I'm blanking on it now. But there was another one that the game, when you got to a certain point in the game, it actually stopped you from completing the game. You would hit a mission, and the glitch was so bad that you couldn't finish the game. Now imagine putting like 15, 20 hours into a game, brand new game that just came out, or if you're like a Twitch streamer and you get to that glitch. Now your save file's screwed because now you can't continue. And I remember there was another game on the Switch that they said, "Oh yeah, the patch is coming, but you have to restart the game." Oh, so you want me to restart the game? Then why don't you hold on the game, put that patch in first, and then I can play it and go through it. Like that's ridiculous, dude. I'm sorry. And in my opinion, I wouldn't say that's false advertisement, but it kind of is, because you're saying that the game's going to do A, B, and C, And then when you get it, it can't even do A.
And in this day and age where social media is used to put pressure on so many different parts of life, whether it's speech or lack thereof, which we're not going to get into, but it's still, I can tiptoe around it and make an example of it. The reason why these companies are doing this more and more is because they're not, if people put things into perspective and realized what really matters, then why is scalping illegal in the UK and it's still legal here?
Yep.
Why is that? Because this country that we live in, which is the greatest country in the world, and I still believe that, I think it's lost its way. Because, and I'm not talking about politics, I'm just talking about putting things into perspective and what matters. What matters is that these companies are using and abusing the consumer. They're just throwing shit out there and, oh, we're going to fix it. Well, you shouldn't have released it in the first place if it wasn't done. And if people went to social media and put pressure on these companies like they do in other areas, then they would have stopped. Scalping would have stopped. Okay? A lot of things would have stopped. But it's almost like, I mean, are people not talking about these issues? Yes, they are. But they're not talking enough that's putting pressure in the politicians in Washington to stop these companies from taking advantage of people. Because, again, false advertisement, last time I checked, is illegal.
Right.
Okay? It's you're breaking the law. Taking advantage of consumer is not illegal, but it's still wrong. So scalping is wrong. This is wrong. Look, if the game's not done, and you can't tell me that they don't know that these games have these problems. They have to know. Just like Mafex knows that these figures have these QC issues. They're just pushing them out the door because they know they're going to get their money. And if worse comes to worse, they'll either release an update or just make another one. You know what I mean? Which all ties in anyway. So people need to use social media in a constructive way, in a productive way, and that is calling out these companies and saying, this is not right. We would prefer that you push the release date back and give us what you're promoting. Give us what you're telling us it can do. Whether it's a game, whether it's a figure, whether it's a console. When you look at the things that are going on with these new consoles, why anybody would pay $5 for these things is beyond me. You play up to a certain hour, a certain amount of hours on the PS5, whatever. There's 2 games now, I believe, that are doing it, and the freaking console shits the bed.
Yeah.
So you mean to tell me that this is okay? This didn't just start happening now. This has been happening since the days, like the PS2. We talked about this before we started shooting. The PS2, the hype of that console put the Dreamcast in the shitter. Was the PS2 better than the Dreamcast? No. The hype was, though.
Yeah. At least with the video games, they can do these patches to fix things, whereas with action figures and stuff like that, they can't. Once it's out, it's out. That's the finished product. The problem is, though, is that even with the video game companies, you could damage your reputation, your company's reputation, really badly, and you could lose the trust of a lot of consumers. And one of the another problem too with the whole release the game now and then add patches is that EA, I believe, is a company that was other ones too, but EA was a big one. That what they did was they were sending a version. I don't know if you heard about this. They were sending a version of the game to like YouTubers and people that were like for magazines and stuff, where they would play the game, and then they would tell you, oh, this game is awesome. There's no microtransactions. Then a month after the game releases, they would then slip the microtransactions back in there. So what's happening is they're not lying. The copy that they sent to everybody didn't have microtransactions, and for the first month, no microtransactions. So then everybody's like, yay, the company didn't put microtransactions. Then a month later, an update comes out, and boom, microtransactions are back in the game. So that, to me, is kind of like you're pulling the rug over our eyes. That's kind of bullshit right there.
That's false right there. And
yeah.
It's, I mean, if it's not flat out false advertisement, they're dangerously close to it because technically they're not lying. There's no microtransactions the first month, but then they slide it in there after that. So I guess they're careful on how they word things, but I would still definitely consider that false advertising. And again, where is the outrage? These are doing it at every level, whether it's video games, consoles, figures. Like I said, like we started off talking about McFarlane. I mean, I thought that was a shitty move on his part. And for the most part, we love McFarlane. NECA does a lot of stupid shit. They all do it because they know they get away with it. They get a little bit of heat, a little bit. I mean, NECA got a lot of heat, but, you know, that was our first episode. If you guys, those of you who watch regularly, you know, that's kind of what started the Collector's Thoughts, that the Beast, Unleash the Beast, was that anger towards what they were doing or lack thereof. So, and if you remember that, the amount of bullshit they got when they, you know, put that picture of the Super Shredder up. Great, another figure we won't be able to find. And then, you know, you're just dangling these products in front of us and we're never going to get them because you're not doing anything. So that right there shows that if we apply pressure on these companies, whether it's a video game or a console or you know, companies that make figures, if we put enough pressure on them through social media, they'll make the corrections that are necessary. The problem is everybody's too busy going apeshit about everything else. It's like they're not paying attention to what matters. Jesus Christ, dude. You know, I mean, let's talk about that game. What's it called again? The
Cyberpunk.
Now, why was it pulled?
Well, here's the thing. That's what I was going to bring up next. Was the good thing is that there, with just like the NECA situation, with that situation, enough people rose enough, like brought up enough hell to where the company issued an apology. But here's the thing. They issued an apology and they issued refunds, which is great. If you're not happy, you can get your refund. But my problem with what happened, though, is they kept doing this thing where they apologized but not fully took blame. Because what they kept saying was, oh, the PC version that we released was amazing. And for the newer systems, it's good too. It's just the last gen systems that's where most of the issues are coming from. But the problem is, my issue with that is, that game's been in development for about 8 years. The new systems just came out about a month ago. So what the hell were you developing for 8 years? That should have been flawless on these old systems then, if that's the case. So, and the other problem I have with them too is that they were purposely sending only select clips to YouTubers and reviewers, purposely only giving them that option. And if I'm not mistaken, most of it was PC version only. Because why? They were trying to hide the fact that they knew the PS4 and the Xbox One versions sucked. And they were flawed to the point where you couldn't even play the game. The game is practically broken. It's running at like, I don't know, 15 frames a minute. Like, it's ridiculous. It is practically broken game. And people were outraged. And then even trying to get refunds, they were getting pushbacks. Then finally, Sony pulled the game. And from what I heard, I think Microsoft just recently did it too, where they pulled it off the marketplace. And they issued refunds because they realized that you're straight out screwing everybody. They made their money back in pre-orders and then some. And that's how you think all the people that supported you is you completely screw the people from last gen. Now, mind you, we keep saying last gen. Most of the people that bought that game was on last gen because most people either don't have the money or can't find the new gen systems. So why would you not take care of those people? Those, like, you know, whatever, 10 million people that play PlayStation 4 and Xbox One still. You know what I mean? So my whole point is, it's like, okay, just like the example we used earlier with the bakery. You gave that bakery a slide because, you know what? That's not your type of lemon pie. You prefer more lemon in it. But when you look at something like this, or even something like when you were talking about the Wolverine, do we give those a slide? Like, I might give McFarlane a slide because he's not screwing anybody, but he's just kind of pushing his luck a little bit with, like, the completionist. But this is straight up bullshit, dude. Like, the game's broken. You know the game's broken, and you're telling people to wait till February for a patch. Then why didn't you wait for February to release the damn game? So it was ready to go. What the hell are you doing? So that's bullshit. And then when you look at your Wolverine situation, that's bullshit too. If the pictures show him doing this, he should do this when I get him. Bottom line. How do you feel about it?
I agree, dude. I agree. I agree 100%. They should, if it's not ready, push the release date back. As far as the game goes, if it's been in development for that long, in my opinion, it should run better on the PS4 than the PS5, because those consoles were just out. And last time I checked, those consoles are in disarray right now. Nothing's running good on those consoles. So that's a bullshit excuse. It's a lame ass excuse. They're just trying to cover their ass because they know more people have PS4s,
yeah,
Xbox Ones.
Yep.
So, but they also know that more people are focused on the new ones. So they're giving a shit less about those. So they're playing the game. They know what they're doing. And if you're Mafex, they also know what they're doing. They're playing the game because this is not new to them. They've been doing this. It keeps selling. People keep giving them the benefit of the doubt. Yeah. So they keep doing it. If you boycott it, not just put pressure on it, if you boycott it, if you get a petition going and you put them in a lot of hot water, you want to see how fast this shit stops? Again, not to go back to something I mentioned earlier. Why is scalping now illegal in the UK? And it's just a topic on YouTube here.
Right.
Where are the lawmakers in this country? Where is the outrage in this country for that? Where is it? Let's put things into perspective. That's disgusting. It's people and companies taking advantage of the everyday consumer, whether it's scalping or whether it's these companies, and whether it's figure or games or consoles. They're putting out crap because they know it's going to sell. People will bitch to a certain extent, but they'll still continue to buy. Where in the day that I was born, because I'm 44 years old, and if you go back even more than that, dude, you go back 30, 40, 50 years ago, people would lose their freaking eye for this shit. You wouldn't get away with this crap. You know what I mean? Plus, things were much more simplified, too, so it was a different time. But technology has definitely evolved, and it's definitely a lot more complicated to make these games, which is all the more reason. If the game's not ready, push the release date. Don't talk about patches in February. Stop doing refunds, because at this point, the people that wanted those games, that have been waiting for that game, finally get it. You think that refund does them any justice? They get the refund. They're still freaking pissed off that the game that bad. So, oh yeah, we're giving you refunds. I know, me personally, if I get a defective figure and I get a refund, I'm still pissed off that figure was that bad that I needed a refund, because somebody obviously dropped the ball somewhere.
Yep. And the thing is, like, kind of touching on what you were saying, you need to vote. You need to show pressure on companies with your wallet. If you don't buy the product, they'll learn. They will learn, and that's how you push them. And as far as the being pissed off thing, for needing a refund, absolutely. If I got a refund for something, you think I'm going to buy something from that company again? Absolutely not. No way. You get that bad experience like that, and we're not talking. I'm not talking like I put $5 figure and it fell apart. You're talking about $100 figure, dude. That's something that I would be like, nope, never again. Done with that. Same thing with the video game. $60, $70. Here's the thing. If you could have done one of two things. You could have pushed the release date back and had everything patched up, ready to go, in much better shape than what it is. Because I've seen absolute freaking horror stories about what's going on with that game. Even worse than some of the other situations that I've seen over the past. And it scares me, because it scares me to think what other companies are going to be doing this exact thing, where they're going to release buggy games, and if it's worth it, if enough of it sells, we'll fix it. If not, hey man, sorry. So that's already one thing. I'm kind of nervous about. That might be the future of gaming. And the other thing too is, why didn't you just make the PlayStation 4 version and Xbox One version either come out later, or it's just not for that system? If it doesn't run, if the game is not working, is it better to give it to them and just shut them up for a couple days just so that way they can turn around and complain like crazy that it doesn't even work after waiting all that time? I don't know, man. I think that was a bad move on that company's part.
I have to agree. I think they would have been better off either skipping that gen console and just going right to the new ones, or if there's any truth to what they're even saying,
Right.
because like I said, everything on these new consoles that just came out is having a problem. The consoles themselves are shitting the bed. So
Yeah.
I find that hard to believe. Maybe the PC version is running without any kind of hiccups. I don't know. But either way, it shouldn't happen. Refunds, yeah, you're giving the refund back, but it still doesn't do the people that wanted the product and want the product.
Yeah.
It doesn't do them any good. Some people would rather pay the money but have what they were advertised to get, and refunds doesn't do that.
Yeah, and then
The consolation prize.
right, and the thing is, as far as I know, that even the PC version has bugs too. So it's like you guys claim that the PC version was your main focus along with the next gen, but even the PC one has bugs, just not nearly as bad as the ones we're talking about, where you could still play the game. So I don't know, man. It's just the whole point of this topic. It was just to say, at what point are you willing to let companies slide? And that's what I'm asking you guys that watch our videos. At what point are you okay with letting a company slide? Like with our situation, with the Wolverine, the arms popping off, but you can pop them back in. Is it one of those things where you're like, well, you can pop it back in, so no big deal. You're going to let it slide. With Cyberpunk, are you one of those people that like, well, they're going to make patches and they'll fix it, so that's okay. I'll just wait and do it. Or are you more like, no, that's not right. Where I paid the money, I want what I was told I was going to get, and this ain't it. You know, or hell, maybe you're one of those people that even that damn lemon pie was just too much for you because it wasn't enough lemon for you. You know what I mean? Let us know, man. I personally have nothing else to add about that. What about you, man? Anything for you?
No, let us know about the lemon pie. I want to
Let us know about the lemon pie. Oh, man. But, all right, guys. Thank you very much for watching. I'm Respawn Granted. That's Real Batman. Check out our channel. Subscribe. Please like, comment, and share. And stay safe out there, guys.
Subscribe. It doesn't cost anything.
Please, and it'll help us out big time.